Alright, grüezi miteinander. Gregory von Lebe Stark here, man. I wanted to take you guys outdoors, but it did not work. Man, I'm bummed. Because look at the beautiful weather. I gotta close. This looks like so much exposure. Let me open up that thing real quick. Alright, friends. Hey, you know what? Let's put in the work anyway. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I want to answer all your questions. I apologize a little bit for the exposure. Let me go ahead and set up properly. Man, I got such an awesome outdoor setup, but it just didn't work out. I got to try for the next time. But everybody's been waiting. Thank you so much, everybody. This is, I think, the second edition, right? When we went live this year, and I want to say a heartfelt thank you to everybody who's tuning in. I want to take my time to answer all your questions. And the first thing that I have to say, my friends, is we have released the Kettlebell Code 2.0. So it's the second edition, which means you can download it right now for free in the link that you see in the chat box. And it took me over 2 weeks to rewrite this whole thing. It's 8,805 words, over 40 references with an audiobook. I really went above and beyond, and it's 100% free, even the audiobook. There's also a video book with all the exercises and everything in it. And wow, it takes you about an hour to read through that ebook. I wanted to condense the information to make sure that you got everything at arm's reach. And yeah, I've reworked so much of our philosophies in the last couple of weeks and months. Kettlebell Plus 2.0 came out in May. Now it's July, and I rewrote the Kettlebell Code. And the reason I do this is because we are finally arriving at a place where I feel like we're getting honed in. We're finally arriving at a place where I always wanted to be. And let me just make sure sound is working. And yeah, it's so much work that I'm putting in because I'm rewriting this whole thing because, like I said, we are arriving at our, not the destination, but let's say I've arrived at a place where I put everything on autopilot. Autopilot meaning that the philosophy, the training system, the exercises, the success that we have on a continuous basis to set up the program, the coaching, everything works so neatly, and now we're starting to employ people where we are finally able to scale. And man, things are crazy. Things are going crazy. It's because I think I finally hit bullseye where I can finally say I have found the solution for fitness over 40 or for fitness after 40. So this is what we're going to focus on. And I left my coffee outdoors. I'm going to grab it real quick, and then we're going to jump into the answers. Jason, please make sure that all of the answers, please help me out on this one. Friends, ask your questions and you will be heard. Please give me a couple of minutes to arrive at your questions because I'm intentionally using a delay in the stream, which means I'm a little bit ahead of you. So give me a little bit of time. I'm going to grab my coffee and then we're going to jump right in. All right, everybody. Look at this mug. The Mallorca mug. Mallorca is the end game, my friends. One day. One day. Okay, let's jump into the questions. So let me go ahead and see what's up. All right. So first of all, I want to say hello to everybody. I'm Kenra's in the house. Good evening. Huku movie. Good evening from Finland. Jason, the almighty Jason's in the house. Thank you so much for showing up, Jason. Awesome. Poraxial, first time here, day 2 of using a kettlebell. You are doing God's work by picking up a kettlebell because this is going to change your life completely, let me tell you. Jason, just in case I'm missing any of the questions, please drop them in the chat. California's in the house, Finland in the house. If you have questions, yeah, here we go. Huku movie just did 1 hour of walking, 9 times faster, intervals, and rest cooling down. That's good work. Awesome. Okay. Paraxial is saying, so far so good. You are a little bit overwhelmed by all the information that's out there. I'm 30 years old, 130 pounds, been 10 years since training. Looking to get stronger, not sure of a great beginner program. Well, let me tell you, my friends, one of the best things to get started with is with 3 exercises. That is the deadlift, the press, and the squat. Write that down. Go grab yourself a notebook and write that down. The deadlift, the press, and the squat. These are 2 very simple, powerful kettlebell exercises. Matter of fact, you can do them with a dumbbell as well. They're not uniquely or kettlebell specific, but they're awesome. And we run almost all of our beginners, we run them through deadlift, press, squat, swing. And to make it even easier for you to get started, deadlift, press, squat is probably the best thing that you can use to get started with kettlebells because it's so simple, so powerful, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of skill. So these are so-called low-skill exercises that doesn't require a lot of technique. And that's what a lot of people need actually when they get started with kettlebell training. You don't want to have too much technique on your table. You just want to get started and notch your first wins. That's the idea of having a good solid starter program. All right, Altair, the Eagle. Hard versus soft style benefits. Well, I don't believe in either styles, my friends. I'm a little bit like Bruce Lee on that one. I don't believe in styles. The only thing that I believe in is outcome. So what is your goal? And therefore, once you know your goal, what do I want to achieve? You know the tool and you know the way where you want to go. And I'm a little bit on the side where I don't believe that hardstyle has any benefits over giveaway sport. I believe kettlebell sport, or I have to break it down a little bit. Let's take it from the top. So there are 2 categories of lifting with kettlebells. Let's put it like this. This makes it way easier. Dispatch, discard this whole style idea. It just wraps you up into ideas and into this typical dogmatic thinking, which just is completely unnecessary and is an absolute waste of your time. So let's just break it down into categories. So category number 1 is grinding lifts. These are exercises that have no momentum and that you do slow and controlled. For example, a deadlift, a row, and a squat. All right. Then we have matter of fact, let me give you all of the exercises in that category. So it's the deadlift, it's the row, it's the press, it's the squat, and it's the lunge. So these are 5 of our Big 10 kettlebell exercises that we use. Then we have the ballistics, and these are exercises that have momentum. These are kettlebell specific. And what you can do with these exercises is gain crazy strength endurance, gain crazy endurance, and also build muscle at the same time. These are like most bang for your buck exercises. They require some skill. They require some understanding of how to actually properly use the kettlebell. So that's the swing, it's the clean, and it's the snatch. And I would also classify the jerk as one of these exercises. And then, I forgot exercise 6 of that category of the grinds, and that is a windmill. So how do I go about it when I train, or what's the idea? So the idea is when I use ballistics, I know I tap into the potential of strength endurance. When I use grinds, I want to rather tap into the potential of strength. So, and man, that fly, look at that fly. Get out of here, bruh. Man. So, what's your goal now? Do I want to build more strength? Then, hey, why not, pick up some grinds? Do I want to just improve my strength endurance? Why not do the ballistics? And there you go. That's a very simple distinction. The hard style and sports style is soft. And here's the key. Soft style doesn't even exist. It's just, it's the antonym of hard style. So people thought because they were exposed, I always know where people come from when they ask this question, because they have been exposed to that hard style idea first, and then they discover the soft style. And let me tell you, that word is an absolute misnomer. It just doesn't exist. It's just kettlebell sport in that regard. And even when we talk about the ballistics, I think there's only one way to do it, and that is how the Russians do it, the getaway sport method. So this is how I use the ballistics. And I believe in a hybrid idea where I combine the best ideas from the West, which are the grind and strength exercises that I mentioned, combining it with the philosophies of the East, which are the ballistics, right? And so this is how I match them together. So no particular benefits. Of course, if you ask somebody else, they will tell you, well, you get some explosive benefits or more strength from the hard style ideology. And I would say, you know what? Pick up double 32s and do a couple of long cycle reps and boom, you get massive strength benefits. Strength endurance in that regard, but crazy strength, right? And so again, the idea is, what is your goal? And if you're happy with doing grinds all the time and use a lot of tension, that's fine. If you're happy using the ballistics in that hardstyle methodology again, that's fine. But I don't see a need to differentiate between these two ideas and styles. I'm completely not on board with this. And the longer I do this, the more I recognize it rather divides than unifies. So it's just grinds and ballistics, and here we go. And depending on your outcome, what I want to achieve, I use the one or the other. But let's go a little bit deeper into the rabbit hole. And then let's say, all right, so strength and muscle. Do I have to do the grinds therefore? Well, yes, if we look at it from a scientific perspective, because ballistics include momentum, and momentum is not the best thing to build muscle. However, I've built good muscle with ballistics. Levi Marquardt built crazy muscle with the ballistics. So Joe Daniels is a great example, using heavy bells doing ballistics, building good amount of muscle and getting stronger. So it just sometimes you look at the evidence or look at the people and the experience, what they come up with, and then you see like, you know what these people actually say doesn't make sense if you have a practitioner like Levi doing jerk, long cycle, clean with heavy bells all the time. And the dude looks like a behemoth. He almost looks like a bodybuilder, right? So yeah, it's really hard to say, but I distance myself from that hey, I do this or the other. I just use what works and here I go. And of course, maybe you want to have a crisp answer with say, okay, you get more out of this if you do A, and you get more out of this if you do B. Like I said, categories, differentiate left and right, grinds and ballistics, and that would be the biggest difference that I would draw in between these two exercises. I hope that helps. It's probably not the answer that you've been looking for, but yeah, appreciate the question nonetheless. Hello from Central New York. Joseph, yo. New York in the house. There we go. Jeremy, question. I am 38, on the heavy side, 6 foot, 300 pounds. After a hard workout, I believe I have not only physically but mentally exhausted myself that lasts a few days afterwards. How should I adjust given my weight? I can usually do something like 10 sets of 10 swings and 1 or 2 get-ups with a 24 kg respectively. After the workout, I usually feel fine, but I can't help but think there's a subtle overexertion going on. Also, thank you for your work. You're welcome, brother. Here's the key, Jeremy. 6 foot, 300 pounds. I'm just assuming you are just at the beginning of your journey. So listen to your body. Even if people tell you that, well, if you're not fit, if you're not strong, you have to listen to the coach. And I agree. And I agree that you also should follow a proper program and then not always have the shiny object syndrome where you jump from one end to the other spectrum. But, trust something and do it. That's true on one side. On the other hand, if you feel you're overexerting yourself, well, you have your answer. So the next time you do a workout, how about you do 5 sets of 10 swing and 1 get up? And if I may add, ditch the get up. Do 5 sets of swing, 5 sets of 10 swing, and then 5 sets of, or maybe 3 sets of 10 clean and press per side, or 5 clean and press per side. You get way more bang for your buck. If we will complete that workout, if you would give me the chance to maybe complete that workout that you're having, swing and get up, I would say keep the swing, build up with a squat, and that can be a body weight squat. If you're just getting started, don't use the bell, just do body weight squats. So swing, squat, and maybe clean and press or press. See, it goes back to this powerful exercise workout that we do with all the beginners. And then You don't have to do 100 swings. You don't have to do 100 cleans or 10 get-ups or 2 get-ups. Listen to your body. Adjust from there. So that feeling of overexertion should not, here's the key, what we see in practice. People sometimes feel that feeling of overexertion because it's almost like a machine. If you haven't worked out for a long time, or if you have never worked out in your life, then it's like you pick up a machine and you dust it off, and then you turn it on and it does this, right, this crackling sound, and everything's crackling and breaking, right? So that's normal. And so that feeling might persist a little bit, but it should subside afterwards. But it's probably not the same feeling of feeling completely overexerted, that you did too much. So in that regard, scale it back. There's something that we call workout density. And workout density means how much volume do you pack into a time frame of where you train. For example, let's say I did a workout of 30 minutes. I lifted, let's say, like 6 to 7 tons of weight, and I burned 500 to 600 calories. So that's a very, very intense workout, right? That's really at the top. And then maybe your workout density would be, I trained 30 minutes, I lifted 1 or 2 tons, and I burned maybe 200 to 300 calories or 200 calories. So always take it in steps, right? Because training and fitness, this is going to be a marathon. It's going to be a lifelong journey. So step by step, and then you notch it up just a little bit. I hope that helps, brother. Thanks for the question, man. Francisco Baraba Velarde. Can I do kettlebell every day? Well, it's a good question. You could. The problem is, does that make sense to train every day? And I have 2 answers. Answer number 1 is yes. If I have one client, he used to be a client. His name is Jim. And Jim said, Gregory, for my mental health, if I don't work out every day, I feel like I'm missing something, or I feel like I'm going down a very dark path that I want to go downwards to. So I train every day, and it alleviates my depression and it helps me out. So I like this. So if you say, and Levi's that kind of guy, I'm not saying he's depressed, but Levi's the kind of guy who says he only rests 1 day of the week, right? And he trains every day. And so if it helps you with your mental health, then train every day. How would I set it up then? I would do it bite-sized chunks. So it wouldn't be intense 30 to 45 minute workout. So if I exclude my warm-up, my workouts sit between 40 and 45 minutes. So with the warm-up and with the cool down, I'm moving for an hour straight, right? So if you train every day, break it down into maybe 10 or 15 minute sets. And then you probably do it for the mental health, right? And say, hey, I need this, I do it, great. If your goal is performance or weight loss or muscle, all these beautiful benefits that come along when you train consistently, and you really want to change your body, you want to look better, you want to feel better, you want to get your energy back, then I would tell you it's probably not necessary. It's probably makes more sense to stick to 1 to 2 workouts per week and build up what we already discussed, and that is build up workout density, where you slowly but surely upgrade the density so that there's more volume and you spend a little bit more time. And I will cap it. Level cap is at 45 minutes. So a full workout in my case is 1 hour with the warm-up, because I take my time with my warm-up. I know if I don't do it, then I don't move as well. But maybe let's say like I'm truly working, if I deduct all the rest, it's maybe then 30 minutes of pure work. So that leads me with maybe 1 hour of work consistently. But in your case, it could be, you know what? I'm building up with 15, 20, and then 30 minutes of work. And then if I feel really strong, I maybe can go a little bit longer. But I will make sure it's capped at 30 to 45 minutes, excluding the warm-up. And then you do it 3 times a week, or 2 times, or once. Because here's the key, which I probably think you're alluding to. And that is, can I do kettlebell every day because I want to change my life? I want to get fitter, stronger. I want to have more confidence. I want to build muscle. I want to blah, 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 right? I want to get all these reasons. The key is, don't ask how many times do I have to train per week, or do I have to train every day? The question should be, how many times do I have to train over the year, right? Changes happen yes, they can happen fast in maybe 3 months, 6 months, right? Results sometimes show up fast, right? We've seen crazy results in 2 weeks, 2 months. And we have had clients who said only after the first and second workout, they already felt some relief because we've unlocked the body, the capacity of the body. And I would say, just recently, our client, she said, we were talking about her training regimen, and then we looked at her schedule, because when you train with us at the gym and you jump into the transformation, which is a huge program where we take you by the hand and we train with you for a year. It doesn't matter whether it's in gym or online. That's just a very big transformation program. And then after that full year, we checked out how many times she trained, and then we saw, wow, you did 70 workouts. How awesome is that, right? Great. 70 workouts over a year means consistent change, more strength, more mobility. Because here's the key. I've had conversations with so many people who said, hey, 10 years ago, I was 40 pounds lighter and stronger. Yes, great. But that doesn't help us anything right today, because we live in the present. We don't live in the past, and we don't live in the future. So you want to do this thing, like I said in the beginning, see, everything ties together. You want to do this for life. It's a marathon. So make sure you choose a training regimen and a schedule where, if I ask you, can you train 5 days per week, a full year? And your answer is, on a scale from 1 to 10, maybe -3. All right. Then if I say, but can you train once a week for a full year? You probably say, well, scale 1 to 10, it's 5, 6, right? We already have a plan. All right. I hope that helps, brother. JL, what would you recommend for a kettlebell beginner with tight hamstrings? Finding it difficult to train with any frequency. Brother, I would recommend 2 things. First of all, download the ebook. I'm recommending this to everybody, but I'm recommending the ebook for one particular reason, which I'm going to show right now. Give me a second. You're looking for the perfect exercise, right? I have it for you. I have it for you. Brother Gregory got you covered. Here we go. Give me a second, friends. And that's that one particular exercise that Jason, for example, which is a client of mine, not you, Jason, another Jason, he's a client of ours. And he said, Gregory, this exercise unlocked everything. And you are right. If you have a tight posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, and everything, it's like I always say, if you don't have your mobility down pat, and it doesn't have to be crazy mobility, just the basic features. If you have brakes on the muscles, and if you don't loosen up those brakes, then it's like driving on a street filled with potholes. It's possible, but it's a bumpy ride and things might break. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. Boom. No, that's the wrong one. That's the proper one. Here we go. Making sure you see this. This is it, my friends. Let me see if you see it. Yeah, you should be able to see it, right? This. I want you to buy a stick. This is easy to get. You get this from your Home Depot, okay? So this stick is approximately, 5'6" or 5'7", something like this. So that stick is maybe like 5 foot. It's maybe 150 or 60 centimeters tall. So calculate your height. And then, as you can see, the stick is not my height because that's too long. So then just maybe deduct, let's say like 30 to 50 centimeters off of it. And then, just like my shin, see my after my shank, right? Or my knees, and then down there, cut it off there. Go to your Home Depot, go get that stick. This is going to change your life. I promise you this. So watch what you do. You connect that stick to your skull, the back of your head, the upper back, and the hips. And this is the exercise that you're doing. Watch. This is a hinge. You slowly push the hips back. Let me can I move? Yeah, I can move slowly. You push the hips back as far as you can. And when you reach that bottom position, this is a 90-degree angle. You want to make sure that the stick stays connected to your hip, your upper back, and the back of your head. And then this unlocks that portion like crazy. You're going to feel a stretch you've never felt in your life before. This is awesome to unlock your posterior chain and make sure that it's not stopping you from moving properly. And then you hold that 90-degree angle and imagine your hip is like a wrench. Your upper body is the handle and the hip is the fulcrum. And the fulcrum is where it turns and the whole body reacts. This is important. Your upper body reacts. It doesn't act. Your upper body reacts, but your hips, the fulcrum, is acting. This is where you turn the screws. That's why it's called a hinge. And then watch, you hold that position in the 90-degree angle, and then you slowly come back up. Man, I'm very long down here, right? Oh, my man, I'm sleeping. Am I asleep? And then I slowly stand up. I'll go a little bit faster here. And then I boom. This is what we call crushing grapes beneath your feet. As you stand up, you want to fully lock the knees as well as the hips. And this is teaching you how to tap into your reserve of strength, your power source. Because the strength sits right approximately at the middle of your foot. And when you push the feet down as much as you can, then you really want to lock the hips and the knees and tighten your abs as brakes, because otherwise you're pushing the hips too much forward. The hinge with the stick, is going to change your life, my friend. I promise you this. And all that info is in my ebook, which you can see in the chat, code.lebestock.ch. It's 100% free, my friends. I've distilled all of the information of my philosophy in there. I'm not holding back any shortcut, any knowledge, any information I've gathered. I'm giving it to you for free because I want you to change your life without having to spend a dime on it. And I think the kettlebell is where it's at, my friends. I hope that helps, brother. Joseph Corso, Solid Foundation, Moisam, Quinto. Oh, you guys are going fast. I have to go a little bit faster, right? Oh, here we are. Where are we? If you could have only 3 kettlebells for the rest of your life, which ones would you choose? 16, 20, 24. Colin Hughes. I've just started on week 2 of the blueprint. I can see this will take me to autopilot. Can you recommend some wows to follow to progress after that? Well, the autopilot has some wows in there that are already, and by the way, our brother Colin is talking about Kettlebell Plus, which is our membership, where you can get started for $1. I don't have it right here now. I'm pushing the code, the Kettlebell code, but it's our membership where you have to imagine the Kettlebell code, but even deeper with clear explanations, tutorials on what you have to do each day. So one of the best wows to follow after this is just very simple. You sign up to the wow, and then you always do the current wow, which I think currently we're at 301, but that's in 2 weeks. I think we currently sit at 299 or 298 something. So you always do the particular wow of the given week, and then choose one from the past. The blast from the past with the power from the future, or the power from the present, right? Try to combine this. It's very simple. You don't have to think that much, because at the end, when you have found your way through the blueprint and you've actually done all the skill blocks, you've put in the work, then you are free to choose any workout from the wow, because here's what we do. We stay in an infinite loop of GPP, which stands for General Physical Preparedness. So we just do all the stuff that works forever. And then once a month, make sure you do your belt tests. For everybody who's interested, belt tests are particular workouts that serve as a benchmark. And we've created a martial arts belt system in the Kettlebell Dojo, which is part of Kettlebell Plus. This is our big community from all around the world. But there's also more info in the Kettlebell code. I don't want you to buy stuff if you're not sure about it. Make sure you download the ebook for free. And then Kettlebell Plus and everything else is explained in the ebook. Make sure you download it right now. Gustavo, hardest part for me is just setting up time to work out. I started my master's and it has made my schedule inconsistent. Gustavo, here's how I would do it. I would break it down into very short chunks and very short workouts. Set yourself a goal. If you're doing a lot of work and if you're preparing to study and if you have your master's, if you have a family or whatever, if life is happening, and this is going to happen to everybody, every one of you, then say, all right, make a list, right? Make a list like this. And then you put boxes on it. Put boxes on it where it says, what week are we in? Is it week 30 or something? Week 30, 10-minute workout, box. Week 31, 10-minute workout, a little box. You get what I'm saying? And then you tick off every box. And then your assignment is fulfilled of that particular week. Because here's the thing. Oftentimes, we completely extend ourselves by thinking, I have to train every day. I see Levi, the guy's a monster, and he says he trains every day. I see Gregory, and I like his body, and I like the way he trains, and I like his skill. He trains 4 times a day, 4 times a week, right? I want to do this too, but it's not possible. All right, you don't have to, right? I train because this is my you have to imagine, this is my 16th year of consecutive training. Since 2009, I haven't stopped lifting, which means I've been training since 16 years consistently without stopping. This is like written in my DNA. Nothing takes time away from my workout because it is my lifeblood. But if you have other things going on in your life and you don't do this professionally, and listen, there are other responsibilities and stuff. And I've built my life around in a system where I know that my workout always has time, but not everybody has that luxury, or maybe people have other responsibilities. Then think about it this way. I cover 10 minutes a week and I put a check mark under it. This is like a goal. And once you notch that goal, once you hit it, you own it. And this gives you a feeling of satisfaction, like, oh, I did it. Awesome. And then if you want to, you can still build on top of it. But it's a bare minimum. Again, think about that question that I asked you earlier. Ask yourself this. I say, hey, on a scale from 1 to 10, if I tell you, can you train 4 times a week for 45 minutes for a full year? If you are below 4 or below 5, you have to adjust. If I tell you, Gustavo, hey, Gustavo, can you train once a week, 10 minutes for a full year? And if you're at a 7 or a 9, own it and do it. I hope this helps, brother. Donald, question with the Kettlebell Plus. Are you going to update the old training like bolt, crossbells? No. These bolt and crossbells are included into the WOWs. So all of these workouts are not part of the WOW. And these courses still exist, of course, but they're not. I'm not going to update this. This is old material, and this is just workouts generally. You have to imagine bolt, crossbells, and 90 days of kettlebells. This was just GPP stuff. And now everything's included in the WOW. Question, I'm 40. I first started training 2010s. Just got back into it last month. Been training 3 days a week consistently. Thinking of joining first competition on November, snatch and jerk. Ooh, yeah. That's good stuff, man. So did you start in 2010 with, you have the next question down here. All right, here we go. Tuesday's group, kettlebell work. What is a good routine training plan to follow the other 2 days? Also, big fan of your channel. My number 1 reference. I appreciate this, brother. Thank you so much, man. I only see Tuesday's group kettlebell work. What's a good? So snatch and jerk is your biathlon, right? So I cannot give you any proper information on how I will prepare for a biathlon because I never did it. So if you're really serious, I would consider hiring a coach. I would consider either talking to Michael Son, I would consider talking to Denis Vasilev, or I would consider talking to Alexander Khvostov, right? So Denis and Alex are Russians, but they speak great English, but these are behemoths in the scene. And Michael Son speaks English as well. He's not Russian, but he's a great coach, and I like his approach. He's cool. And I did snatch. So when I did snatch, here's what I did. 3 days a week, snatch. 3 days a week snatch. That was gruesome. And in the final stretch, I did 3 days a week, 10-minute snatch sets. And I built up. I remember, just like it was yesterday, Dennis told me, Gary, get back to the 16s. I started 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. So up to the 28, I was going really solid. And it was man, I remember the 10-minute set with the 28. I almost died. I have it on the channel. Oh my, I did 140 reps something. I'm really proud of my 28 kg set. Wow. And then I performed with the 32 and I completely tanked. I only did 100 reps. But man, life was crazy. So no excuses, bro. No excuses. Maybe the prep wasn't that good. So, but I still got my master of sports, so I'm happy. So please talk to a good professional coach who can help you on how to prepare for snatch and jerk. Run the distance. Could you show it clean without the swing in it? I'm new to kettlebells and don't want to get hurt. Well, you mean a power clean? I'm not showing any exercises now. So this is what you do a power clean then. So here's what you have to learn. I can show you to you like this. Oh, this is the baby kettlebell. This is what you have to learn, my friend. This is what's called a hand insertion. So you have to learn this. Watch. When the bell comes up, and by the way, you need momentum. You need to clean. You need swing. But here's how I do it. When you swing the bell up, it comes from the bell. It comes from the bottom up. I have a whole routine on how to teach to clean, but it's outside the scope of this answer. So the bell comes up, you stop it. You immediately stop it with your free hand. Stop the momentum. Then from this position, make sure that your fingers are down here. Your pinky makes contact with the lower corner, and your fingers are around the grip and the handle. And then you either wrap the handle or you put your thumb on it. I like to put my thumb on it, and then from this position, I spear the kettlebell like this. I insert my hand, I go deep, I take a deep dive inside the handle, and then I rack it. And now if I want to do it in reverse and drop the kettlebell back down, this is what we call a corkscrew maneuver. I turn my wrist like this, the forearm twists, the bell comes out, and then I pull my hand out, and then you immediately stop it with your free hand, boom, like this. Bell drops again, comes back up, you stop, insert, rack. Bam, down, stop, rack. All right, this is how I would do it. I hope this helps, brother. Follow-up question. What should I do for a workout to focus on calorie burning and endurance? Think of running a 5K without running. Snatch. Snatch is absolute beast, let me tell you. And I would just recommend GPP work with kettlebells in general. Just doing a lot of ballistics. Let's bird's eye perspective view. Do a lot of ballistics, which means do a lot of cleans, a lot of swings, a lot of snatch. But the snatch in general is the ultimate endurance builder, the strength endurance or even endurance builder. If I pick up a 16 kg and I do a 10-minute set, this is my endurance work. I don't do it currently. But I know with that weight, I can do completely endurance only. If it's 20 and 24, then I tap into strength endurance. So it's a little bit, strength and endurance, they are diametrically opposed, but you can marry them a little bit in the middle. But once you go to the extremes, and this is where a lot of people get hung up, as they go to the extremes, right? You can't get super strong with a kettlebell, and you can't get that super endurance with the kettlebell, but we can marry it somehow a little bit in the middle. And thanks to my GPP work, let me tell you, my friend, thanks to my GPP work, we're doing a lot of ballistics, just my regular stuff, right? My regular kettlebell stuff. We were in Mallorca 2 weeks ago with 7 of our clients. We invited them to train with us on the island for a week. Was a blast. And then we had one event where we went mountain biking. 5 hours on a mountain bike. I never sat on a mountain bike. Well, I did, obviously, maybe a couple of years ago, but I never went trail running. I never went mountain up like this. And I knew, thanks to my GPP work, general physical preparedness work, I was able to do it pretty well. I had no e-bike. Of course, I had to fight a little bit, but I felt awesome. I felt great, right? And so that, again, is that powerful, monstrous skill transfer that the kettlebell provides, because it was so easy. almost a little bit too easy, right? And even when we went up the hill, I knew my breathing technique from kettlebell training, and I went up the hill like this, and I did fine. And even Danny, who is now employed by us and he works for us as a coach, he said the same thing. He said, Gregory, man, I can't believe I never sat on a mountain bike and I was able to do it so flawlessly. Of course, technique, we don't know nothing about mountain bike technique, right? But we were doing so good. And he said that too. He had the same epiphany moment. So that's a powerful thing about kettlebells. So ballistics and just general GPP work. Cool movie. How much I need to do double kettlebells in phase 1. Core 4, you don't do any double bell work in phase 1. You're talking about Kettlebell Plus, the blueprint? No. The Core 4 are just an introduction into double kettlebell work, right? It's an introduction. But you don't even have to ask me. If you follow the course, you'll see no double bell work, because way too early in phase 1. Way too early. Double bells come, right, later. I see you, NV. I need help. I'm new to this. I bought a few kettlebells 2 weeks ago. I feel like I'm doing training all wrong. What's the question, brother? Saketh, one question. How many rest days can be there in a week or in a month if I train only using kettlebells and body weight? Well, it depends, right? There can be, like I said, there can be 6 rest days if you choose to work out once a week and you combine calisthenics, body weight, and kettlebells. In my case, I train four times a week, so I have 3 complete rest days. But I'm not like a snail. I am active. I get at least 10 to 15,000 steps in every day, right? So I'm not a snail. But this is my lifestyle, right? I live and breathe this stuff. So if I don't move, I feel like something's wrong. But it depends. Once a week, the full year gives you 45 to 50 workouts. Great. You have 6 rest days. Great, because you're being consistent. And of course, if you go very hard, if I do very tough kettlebell stuff, then I have to rest longer. And then I listen to my body. Dankeschön von Texas, USA. All right, bitteschön, my friend. Caleb, a lot of love. Poisson, hey Gregory, I started last month because of you. Ooh, awesome. Here we go. Lots of gains are waiting for you. 3 workouts per week, 30 minutes each with a 12 kg. That's what's up. I ordered the 16 and the 20. Oh, you're ready for the future, brother. I can't thank you enough. I've never been this good and well in my life. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much, man. Hey, man, it's the kettlebell bug, right? It's not me. I'm just the messenger. I'm showing you the stuff that works, right? I'm just the guidepost. This is what Bruce Lee said. You have to shield your pupils from your influence, which means I'm just a guidepost. You're discovering one of the best tools that I've discovered with the late great Sensei Steve, whom I miss dearly. Man, I cracked up the last time I started crying last time in the webinar. Jason, did you catch that? When we talked about Steve Carter? Man, those tears, they've swollen up, man. Man, I miss him. I miss Steve. I bought from Grog, the goalie, recently had hip impingement surgery, got cleared for return to activities, but struggling with where to start. I gained weight in the 8 months. I was down. Should I focus on strength to start? Just focus on the basics, brother. The basics, especially with kettlebells, is you get everything. Let me break this down again. And please, brother, go download my ebook, The Kettlebell Code. It's the link in the description. It's 100% free, and you get lots and lots and lots of information in there on how to get started. But to give you the bird's eye perspective, we always talk about GPP, and GPP means general physical preparedness. So the kettlebell gives you exactly this. It's going to prepare you for anything that life throws at you. I'm using now the description of what kettlebells really are. It's a strategy to it's a strategy to get your body ready for anything, no matter how fit you are. This is what the kettlebell really is, right? And so you get some strength, you get some mobility, you get some endurance, you get everything in there. Did you see the feedback from our brother Poisson? He's now putting in the work. He started last month and he feels better. 3 workouts a week with kettlebells. And it doesn't have to be 3. Just make sure you hit 1 consistent workout over the course of the year. That's the key. And you're going to change. So don't overexert yourself. Don't overthink the process, right? It's, oh, do I have the strength? And no. Deadlift, press, squat, swing, and you're good. You're good. This is the easy stuff. And of course, the kettlebell is a rabbit hole. You can go very deep in programming and understanding the stuff and the lore, blah, 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 right? Of course. But when we get started, the first step that we take is something that is clear cut, that you understand even in your sleep. A workout that when you wake up at night, you still think about those exercises because they're so easy to remember, right? Deadlift, press, squat, swing. Sigo tu canal, me ha servido mucho. Agradezco tu trabajo, es increíble. Saludos desde Chile, hermano, muchas gracias. Yo quiero hablar español mejor, pero es mucho difícil para mí. Pero yo soy un estudiar y quiero levantar. I love this. Check this out. Quiero levantar pesas rusas todos los días. I love to lift kettlebells every day. Quiero levantar pesas rusas todos los días, right? Oh, I love it, man. Thank you so much, brother. Muchas gracias. Theo, I'm sure you get asked this question a lot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because, hey, if you get started, right, it's your first day, and you probably ask a question that I've heard a millionth time. Who cares? You're getting started, and I'm here to help. Do you have a specific metric to determine when someone is ready to move on to the next kettlebell size up? I've noticed massive gains at 116. Ooh, and let me tell you, the 16 is an evergreen weight. I'm going to make a video about it soon. I had a major shoulder irritation. As a matter of fact, I still feel a little bit now, and it's that irritation took me about 3 to 4 months. It's almost chronic. And I've done a lot of stuff to get rid of it. And I'm at the tail end of my healing, but I still feel it even now. Even now, I still feel it. So I went down to the 16, and the 16 was a game changer and a lifesaver. If it wasn't for the 16, I probably didn't know what to do. And many of you have probably seen this in the last rounds. I'm only using 16s because I'm recovering from this injury. But let's focus on your question. It's very simple. Listen to your body. When you feel, that's why the belt system is so awesome. We always say, when your body's telling you that you're ready to move on to the next weight, go ahead and do it. And there's one benchmark workout. It's the belt tests that we have in the Kettlebell Dojo. Go grab yourself a 20 kg when you're ready to do 100 swings, 16 clean and jerk per side, 30 snatch per side, and 30 goblet squat without the kettlebell touching the floor, which means unbroken. If you're able to do this with the 16, it's time to move up to the 20. Because this unbrokenness and this all-encompassing training where you pick up a bell and you don't put it down and you keep moving with it, this is the beauty of kettlebell training. This is where it shines. And this is what I was taught from Sensei Steve Carter, right? And so, of course, you can grab a heavier kettlebell for a deadlift. And then you have to grab a lighter kettlebell for the press. But this is not how kettlebells work. Kettlebells are primal. Kettlebells are practical. It's like you pick up a rock and you work with it. Yes, for the deadlift, it's easy. But once it goes overhead, it's a little bit tougher. But that's the idea of kettlebells. It's a very encompassing, primal movement pattern. I call it weighted locomotion. So it's completely different. It stands out from all the other training modalities, right? So consider this, 100 swings, 60 clean and jerk per side, 30 snatch per side, 30 goblet squat. You ready to do this? Unbroken? Boom, go grab the 20 kg. Thank you for that. You're welcome, brother. Dushan, Dobry dan. I had a few days rest in the last 3 months. I lost 21 kg in that time. I unlocked my move and it's incredible. Thank you for the man. I appreciate that, brother. Keep going. Godspeed. Carpet Shark. Oh, I like that. The Carpet Shark. That's a cool name. Hello. Is it okay to use gloves with kettlebells? Without it, I hurt my palm. So here's the key. Of course it is okay. Of course it's okay. Who's telling you it's not okay? If you want to use gloves, do it. Now, if you want a recommendation where I say, listen, it probably makes sense to take the gloves off because If you're still ripping apart your palm skin and it turns into hamburger meat, you're probably having some technique issues. And you'll never fix this if you don't feel it. So the glove circumvents the need for you to learn proper technique. But we have clients who use gloves all the time, so it's fine. It makes the handle a little bit thicker, a little bit harder to grab, or a little bit harder to rest, and that you actually feel where the weight sits. But, it's fine. Keep using your gloves. But if you want to step it up with the technique and maybe use a heavier weight, maybe it's good to learn better technique and then take the gloves off and see if that time that you've spent to improve technique has actually paid off, where you're not destroying your palm skin anymore. Do you also lift weights, barbells, dumbbells, like a bodybuilder, or just do kettlebell circuits? I just do kettlebell circuits. Matter of fact, here's what I started based on that injury that I had in my shoulder. I went back on Saturday, but I just do it for fun because I train with kettlebells so often. And on Saturday, I started just doing some deadlifts with the barbell. And I loaded 80 kg, 100 kg. I do a couple of reps, boom, and I feel it really does well for my shoulder. I love it. And then maybe I do a barbell bench press, but this is just to mix things up for my mind, because I train so often, and Saturdays, like, let's do some mace work. Let's do some barbell work. And then I'll randomize it a little bit. It's not that I go along and say, oh, now I do this for that. No, I just randomize it because I love it. And then I'm like, hey, but I guarantee you there will be a time where I go back to very heavy kettlebells, where I'm going to probably use kettlebells exclusively. I've been using kettlebells exclusively now for what? And let me tell you, here's the key. When I went back to the barbell, I did barbell deadlift with 80 kg. I did a bench press with 60 kg. And I did a barbell squat with 60 kg. And my heart rate was steadily 120, 125. And I felt a little bit bored. I was like, and I told Angie, I said, man, that plate loading, I don't like it. It's like, I'm just not into this anymore. So the next week, matter of fact, was last Saturday, I said, you know what? Well, I'm going to do the deadlift, the barbell deadlift, and the rest is kettlebell. So I'm so in love with that kettlebell that I want to do it all the time. But I felt that heavy deadlift, which 80 kg is not that heavy, but that was good for my shoulder. So I'm like, all right, so let me go ahead and do this a little bit. So I'm switching it up just for fun. But 90% and sometimes even 100% is kettlebells. I just love it. And it gives you this feeling, this primal feeling of almost being in a wrestling match or in a fight without having an actual opponent, and without the risk of getting your face smashed in. But the kettlebell gives you this feeling where you're like, wow, you move through it, the flow feeling, the intensity, then your brain's lighting up, you're like a Christmas tree and you have to stay calm. I love it. I could talk about it for hours. What's your current weekly workout activity schedule looking like? Well, Monday's workout of the week, which means Angie and I, we schedule a workout and we plan it. And then we record it for the WOW for Kettlebell Plus. And then we use that workout as a benchmark workout for the whole week. Of course, we adjust it for our clients who train in gym. And then Wednesday currently I train seasonal training. So, that injury is probably, I'm going to explain it in the video a little bit more, but the injury is probably a little bit on my head, a little bit too much stress. And then, just going too heavy for too long is probably my issue. And so, now, seasonal training means in summer, I train outdoors. Look at this. You get the vitamin D and you can train outdoors. I know the exposure is crazy with the camera, but isn't that beautiful? I take the bell outdoors, and then my current schedule looks like this. I train, I pick up my bell, and I walk to the park. So that's my warm-up with the suitcase. Then I arrive at the suitcase walk. Then I arrive to a little bit mobility. Then I run my first 400-meter lap. Then I do, my current schedule is I start with 10 clean and jerk per side. And then I run 400 meters track. Then it's 20 snatch per side. Then I run 400-meter track. Then it's 30 goblet squat. Then I run 400-meter track. Then it's 40 single hand swing, 40 swing per side. Then I run the 400-meter track. And then it's 50 burpees. And then I run the 400-meter track. Then I go down to that workout station and I do 3 sets of 10 push-up and 10 pull-ups. And then I'm done. And I grab my suitcase, grab the bell, and walk back in a suitcase. Currently, I've switched it up a little bit. I don't want to make it too long, but I have another outdoor workout that I really enjoy that is very simple. I have 10 single hand swing or 10 deadlift. Then I have 10 goblet squat. Then I have 10 push up. Then I do 10 reverse lunge per side. And then I do 10 push up again. And then it's 10 goblet squat and then 10 pull up. And then it's a 400-meter track. So it's so awesome. And sometimes I'll leave the pull up away and I just move through the kettlebell stuff and then I do the body weight stuff afterwards. Currently, I'm just switching it up because I love to train outdoors with the track. And what that also tells me, or what my also focus right now is, first of all, getting that healing in the shoulder. So don't go too heavy. I already said it in a comment that I'm deloading my strength capacity, which doesn't mean that I'm turning weak. No, I'm just saying, you know what, strength side, let's put this a little bit to the side and let's focus a little bit more on endurance. So I like to run. Which is great. I like to do a little bit lighter weights, right? To spruce and fresh things up. How can I train as a distance runner with kettlebells? Do ballistics if you want to improve your strength endurance, or do heavy grinds if you want to improve your strength? We're going to go a little bit faster, my friends. Time to buy a stick then, yeah. Let me go a little bit faster. Are kettlebells good for, what was the question? Marathon, are kettlebells? Oh, do you use any rotational exercises? If so, what are some of your favorites? Well, I do anti-rotation, which is suitcase walk, and mace. Mace stuff, which I do not that regularly. Mace stuff is my rotational work, and suitcase, because we train rotation by resisting it. Are kettlebells good for a half marathon? Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And here again is your key. I would say, I don't know all the ins and outs that running really entails, and running a half marathon and a full marathon. But I know you got to get your marathon. You got to get your endurance up, and maybe your strength endurance as well. Which would mean, you know what? Do snatch, clean, swing, ballistics, and then, like I said, like a friend who asked about running, some grinds as well. But I would rather focus on the strength endurance side. What do you think of Roman Jiu-Jitsu saying kettlebells are poor form of strength? Who is Roman Jiu-Jitsu? I think I've reacted to this guy, right? I think kettlebells are an awesome form of strength training. But you're not going to get the strongest. Like I said, the extremes, right? So why are kettlebells so powerful for the over 40 crowd? Because it improves GPP, general physical preparedness. And general physical preparedness, implies that we are generally fit, which the over 40 crowd is exactly looking for. If you want to get the strongest ever, pick up barbells. If you want to build the biggest muscle, take roids and train with dumbbells and machines, right? So it always depends on the goal and where you're trying to go. Dennis Völkel, Gregory, are you doing any other apart from kettlebells, like running, rowing, calisthenics? Yeah, like I said, I do calisthenics and body weight all year round. So that's always my finisher. It's always push-ups, dips, and pull-ups. It's like a prison workout, right? That's the only thing that these guys can do, and they look jacked. So I love calisthenics. Works well. And these 4. Body weight squat, push-up, pull-up, dips. These are awesome exercises. I include them on an annual basis. Running, I always include it when it's beautiful weather outside. Theo's in love with kettlebells, but when Gregory brings out a small kettlebell and Jose, I'm new to kettlebells. I weigh 67 kilo and I'm a slim man. I have one that is 8 kg and I'm learning the techniques, but the weight already feels a bit light. Yes, next increment, 12 kg, brother. Go ahead and grab yourself a 12 kg. Seth Cohen, love your stuff. Question about single hand swings. As the bell comes down in between the legs, I have a slight twist in my shoulders. They're not square. I've been told to keep it square. Thoughts? Key. When the bell drops, you slightly turn your palm in. If you want to do, we call it the backhand, right? backhand like this. Slightly, that's enough. And the kettlebell tilts a little bit, and then you can relax the forearm and that whole muscle group. If you do thumbs up or front hand, then you have that springy effect from that position right here from your arms, from the biceps and the forearm, but it might cause some tendon issues, depending if you have tendonitis or something like this. So if you drop it like this, slight twist in. Now, I never care. I don't care if my shoulders are square. I don't look at this. Here's what you want to maybe avoid is rotating the shoulders in, right? Because here's what you can do. When you rotate, see this? When you rotate, this is your forearm moving, right? This is that bony structure, the joint, that is able to move your forearm. Now, if I overdo it, see? And I hear it, I hear that, then my shoulder starts internally rotating. That is a sign that it's probably a little bit too much. However, if I'm swinging a very heavy kettlebell and I do snatch, it sometimes maybe tilts internally rotates my shoulder a little bit more, and I don't feel anything, right? So I don't look into the mirror like, oh, I have to be square like this. Nah, I don't care about it. But it might be that internal rotation might be a little bit tricky for you to handle if the rotator cuffs are not strong enough. So just be careful, right? Small tilt in, and that's good. Coach, I would like to upgrade from my 24 kg. Ooh, John, you're stepping into professional territory. That's good. Should I go 28 or double 24s? Even double 20, as I'm not experienced with double 12s. That's a good question. I get this question very often. I got to make a video about it. So you have 24, which means you're already decently strong. Now, double bell work is another world. It's really another world. Double 16s are going to make you work like crazy. Double 20s are going to work. It's crazy. And double 24s, woof, right? I love double bell work. And now you have to ask yourself the question, have I mastered the kettlebells with one arm to an extent where I feel comfortable picking up two? And then because here's the thing. Once you pick up a second kettlebell, you have to start from scratch. Everything is going to be completely new, especially with the competition kettlebells, right? Well, even with the pro kettlebell. It's just normal because everything's going to feel a little bit different. So I would master single arm exercises as much as I can so that I know them in my sleep. So then when I jump into doubles, I don't have to think too much because you have to start from scratch. But if you already have a strong foundation, then you'll hit the ground running. I hope that makes sense. And so if you grab double bells because you say, you know what, I think I'm ready for doubles, I would start with double 16s. And if you say, you know what, I want to master my singles and I like the single bell work and I want to go a little bit heavier, yeah, go grab the 28. And of course, if it's somehow feasible and possible, then go grab a 28s and double 16s. What a relief, brother. See, when people say this, that's exactly why I do what I do. So many of us, we are stacked to the brim with this idea and that notion that, oh, so-and-so said, even I, right? Even if I say something, don't get hung up on it. It's your body. It's your journey. It's your unique structure. It's your unique hips, your unique shoulders, your unique tendon insertion points. Everything is unique about you, right? So your body's not the same like me. So if I give you some kind of recommendation, you have to try it out and then see for yourself, right? And so never copy a professional athlete's training regimen and never copy a regimen from somebody that you don't want to look like this guy. Here's one great cue that I got from my mentor, Steve Clark. He said, if you want to improve your technique, look at the guy who has a similar build like you, and then don't copy it, but take cues from him. And again, look at the bird's eye perspective. Nobody's forcing you to do that. That's why I don't like that strong first RKC stuff. Because they changed a little bit, right? But I don't like this being forced down. This is the only way to do it, and this is the best. No. It just isn't. And if you look at it, if you scrutinize it, sometimes stuff falls apart easily, right? So try what works. Try an approach where it's really focused. Work with somebody and listen to somebody who has already helped people who are like you and who are not dogmatic, right? And please always take the smallest step towards that huge journey that is called fitness and changing your life. If you do too much, you're going to burn out immediately. That's why so many people think I have to do this. Today, I heard it again from a new client, and her therapist said, well, you're too mobile. You're too much this. You're too much that. Why are we focusing on what people are too much about? How about we just ignore it, step it to the side, say, who cares what you're too much? Let's just focus on what we can do, how we can get you stronger and better. Let's check out the highlight. Let's highlight the weakness, but not to put you down, but to elevate you up, because once we know the weakness, we know exactly how to improve it. You're too much this, you're too big, you're too strong, you're too mobile, you're too blah. I hate that. And even if it is like this, even if you are super mobile, right? Okay, build some strength. Use that super mobility, and then just be a little bit careful. Maybe you need a little bit more strength so that these joints don't, extend themselves, right? How can I include kettlebell workout if I'm still going to a gym? Well, it depends on what your goal is. I would do, if you have a regular gym routine and you want to use kettlebells as your SPP, something that really gives you some bang for your buck in other areas, I would do the ballistics. I'm new to kettlebells, but is it worth using two and getting them overhead for more muscle building? If you're new, no. Single bell. MMI, huge bear. Hey, my GPP with heavy bells is done. I got 2 months to pass exams in strong first. In 24 hours, I need to pass run, swim, obstacle, blah, 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 or SF, or strong first, whatever it is, right? What is it? What is SF? San Francisco? You guys, Americans, USA friends, you guys have so many abbreviations. I'm currently listening to this one guy. Sometimes I watch a little bit drama, and currently there's some drama unfolding in the veterans community, and they have so many abbreviations. Well, the DOJ's at the GUI, and the OIU means that the TSO can work with the FN1. I'm like, what? So help me out, brother. What do you think about snatch test in phase 2? Well, if you ask me about the strong first stuff, I don't know what it entails. But, here's the key. If you have to pass a snatch test, do more snatch and do it properly. But I'm probably the wrong person to ask when it comes to strong first and hard style stuff. But I would prepare for a snatch, doesn't matter what type, the same like I prepared for mine, right? Do the snatch often with a proper system, with a proper loading regimen. Hablas muy bien español. Felicidades. Gracias, Matías. Love it. A mí me cuesta mucho el inglés. Awesome. Your Spanish is pretty decent. Yeah. Jason, how many languages? Well, just a couple. I just love languages. That's the thing. All right, let me move a little bit faster, and then we're done for today. Greg, downloaded the ebook and booked my first consultation. Looking forward to learning. I'll focus on what you said above. In the meantime, what's a good starter set of bells to purchase? Weight-wise, if you're a man, I would recommend a 12 kg from the Pro Kettlebell. If you're a female, I would recommend an 8 kg, again, from the Pro Kettlebell. Pro Kettlebell is killing it. What exercises do you recommend to, Besanit, what exercises do you recommend to round up training with kettlebells? What muscles are not worked? What muscles need stretching more? Well, again, we bring it back to the GPP level. Kettlebells touch everything. And now, here's the question. What do I want more? Do I need more strength for whatever reason? Then I would pick up some barbells. Do I want more muscle for whatever reason? Well, depending, if you pick up heavy bells and heavy ballistics, you can still build great muscle with kettlebells because at the end, it's a weight. But I get it. Maybe you say, you know what? I want to have a little bit more chest. I want to have a little bit more shoulders or whatever. I think the kettlebell can grant you this. But I have to admit, I love calisthenics because I've been doing calisthenics for almost all of my life. And a push-up is never wrong. A bodyweight squat is never wrong. A pull-up is never wrong. And dips are never wrong. Even though dips and pull-ups are a little bit tough. So then you can do rows with the kettlebell, cleans with the kettlebell, press and jerk with the kettlebell. So I don't think nothing is left out with kettlebell training unless you're focusing on the extremes, right? I need some way more endurance. I need extreme endurance for a marathon. Well, then go run, right? Go build up that capacity. Your hair is so sweet, man. You're late, brother. Any more podcasts in the works? I've learned. Yeah. I have. I know it's been a little bit quiet. There's so much stuff happening, friends. Even trying to keep up with my YouTube game. It's, life is happening and I have to, unwind a little bit unless I'm burning out because I have so much on my table. But I don't want to complain. I'm really happy with how things are going. I have another podcast coming up. with Dan is his name, right? Dan. Let me drop it right here. And when's the date? We'll have one with Dan. Yes, we'll have one in the 8th of August, 3 p.m. with Dan. And Dan, let me tell you, my friends, Dan is a cool guy on Instagram, and he is not just a cool guy. He is a snatch record holder, the master of sport, a combat engineer, and a dog handler. So I can't wait talking to him. So Daniel Boone Hutchinson, and he's from Australia. Let me see if the camera sharpens it. So my brother Dan, I'm going to talk to him because I think we just bounced some ideas back and forth, and I love what he does, and I love his technique, and he describes kettlebell training the same way I describe it, which I'm going to mention as well when we have the conversation. He says kettlebell sport or kettlebell training, the way we do it, especially with the ballistics, right? The hybrid style, we borrow these ideas from kettlebell sport or giveaway sport with the ballistics. Blends the technical demands of Olympic lifting. I wholeheartedly agree. The work capacity of rowing. I wholeheartedly agree. And the mental toughness of combat sports. So what I love is when two separate minds, even though I believe, when you jump into kettlebells, there's a kind of a hive mind that develops, right? I love it. But I love when Dan from Australia comes up with the same exact conclusion like I in Switzerland. I wholeheartedly agree. That's why I can't wait to talk to this guy. And this is when two separate people come up with the same idea about a particular training style or a particular training modality. Then you see, I'm not trying to sell you something. It's just the truth. I don't know Dan, or we just know each other over Instagram, but he sees it exactly the same. I always say that when you pick up kettlebells, it's like rowing. You get the strength endurance that you get in rowing, because in rowing you have a resistance that you have to overtake, but you also have to cover the distance. This is what the kettlebell really is, right? I play tennis, so if after the long snatches, I will use glove. Yeah, I get that. But here again, I cut up my hand, and I think I have good technique, but I cut open my palms with a 28 kg. So lighter weight should not open up your palm skin. And look at the elites; they have clear skin. Well, what they do, that's the only thing they do, right? Which is a little bit different, right? But lighter weight should not tear open your palm skin. You should be able to do a proper snatch set without torn palm skin. When doing unbroken, my heart rate is at the top 10% for wholeheartedly agree, brother. Besanin. Yeah, same. Unbroken, my heart rate is at the top for a long time. Is that normal? What is your heart rate zone when doing this type of training? Oh, I can explain you this, and then we have to cut it off, my friends. Then we're done for today. But I'm gonna rush through those final questions. But you're hitting the nail on the head. So let me go ahead and open that up, because let me tell you. And there's I could give you a very long answer. I don't want to overdo it, but let me tell you, I've burned in my workout on Wednesday, I've burned 600 and see if it sharpens. I've burned 626 calories. My average heart rate was 149 beats per minute. And I've stayed in zone 5. Let me see. I've stayed 11 minutes in zone 5, which is 160 plus BPM. However, a lot of nuance to this. So I stayed in that zone in a very healthy approach. There's too much to unpack it now. But let me give you a very quick answer. If it's too heavy, the weight, you're going to spike up your heart rate because the weight is because the weight is heavy. That's normal. And then if you spend too much time in zone 5 with heavy weights, it tells me that you are frying your central nervous system. With very heavy weights, you have to do short burst sets and then wait until your heart rate recovers and your central nervous system recovers, and then you go back at it again. That was my mistake that I did maybe, a year ago. I spent way too much time in zone 5 with heavy weights because I was not resting enough, which means my central nervous system was fatigued, which led to a host of problems, or not really problems, but just a host of issues. And now when I pick up heavy weights, I rest way longer because I want my nervous system to be ready. However, in this workout, I use double 16s, which is not heavy for me. So I stayed a little bit longer in the zone 5, but it's fine, right? And zone 4 was 150 to 160, 14 minutes. And I have workouts from a couple of months ago where I had 20 minutes in zone 5 with very heavy weights, which was an indicator that I have to adjust a little bit, which I thankfully did. I get that, Smashu. I get that. Do you walk up to the track suit? Do you walk up to the track with... Yeah. It's not that far. It's approximately 1 kilometer, which is like what? 0.8 miles or something like this, right? I grab it, boom, and I start walking. That's my warm-up. Man, I gotta go faster. Do you notice an injury reduction between those who use kettlebells and those who do conventional lifting? Well, most of the people who come to us never lifted in their life or just did a little bit of the gym, right? So there are other people who have more insights on people who come from conventional lifting. But I can tell you, I have a lot of feedback on the channel from people who say, man, I've been doing powerlifting, I've been doing all the shebang, and now with kettlebells, it feels like my body's finally healing. So yeah, I hear this a lot on my channel. And if we cross-reference this with other experts here and the feedback that they get, it's very similar. Can you please make a video review on Roman? I think I did. I think it's that dude. Isn't he? Jeremy, I think a lot of critics of kettlebells might have a lack of understanding of the intuitive feeling of what the exercise gets. I have a lot of past experience with traditional bodybuilding training where I was ego lifting and I didn't know it. It's a good point. A lack of understanding of the intuitive. Oh, that's a very good explanation, brother. The intuitive feeling of training. Yes. It's like I said, weighted locomotion. You put in the work continuously. It's like you're a hunter-gatherer. It's not you do it just to lift it up and pick it down, but it's you're in a continuous flow feeling of motion. Love it, man. Would you say calisthenics is good for overweight individuals? Depends. I would say bodyweight squats. I would do bodyweight squats with almost everybody. If you're severely overweight, maybe where you can sit down and then stand back up. But of course, push-ups are probably out of the question. Then you can use an incline bench and just push from the incline bench. So I love what Pavel said about this. Pavel said calisthenics movement or bodyweight movements look very innocent, but they require a lot of good kinesthetic literacy and strength. I wholeheartedly agree. What would you recommend to someone to build the most amount of muscle mass with kettlebells? Well, double bells, heavy burst sets. But that takes a toll on your body, so you have to be careful. And of course, make sure your diet is on point. Not a cue, but what coach said about overextension. I'm hypermobile, using kettlebells to help with this condition as I get older. Yes. Can recommend kettlebell plus 2.0 to anyone. Thanks, brother. Thank you. Coach going sonnet mode. I love it, Jason. Just a couple. Thanks for all the mention. Yes. Awesome. I think we got it right. Mine goes to 150. You're talking about the heart rate. Yes. And so you can always do it like this. Take your age and then subtract it from 220. So 220 in my case minus 41 is 179, right? So this is my max that my heart is able to, on an average. But my heart still goes above 180, which means my heart capacity is still strong enough to go up to that level. However, I don't want to overexert myself in that regard. I don't want to spend too much time in zone 5, right? That was TNF, brother. Okay, Roman. I'm going to check it out. Thanks so much, brother. I'm going to check it out. What is your final question, my friends? And then we're done. What is your recommendation for someone who just started and for other reasons got to do about Hexenschuss? If it's serious and if it's just very recent, you probably have to wait to heal, right? And maybe get clearance from physio and doc and make sure, even though sometimes the doctors tell you shouldn't lift, right? So it's a little bit tricky. But still, it's good to maybe check it out and listen to what the doc says. And here's the key. Many of our clients had issues with the lower back. Hexenschuss, most definitely, or just lumbago or whatever. And strengthening that area is key, which would mean deadlift, swing, clean, even snatch. Anything that strengthens the midsection, which the kettlebell is so powerful at. But of course, very careful using the proper dosage and not overexerting yourself. All right. Thank you so much, friends. We need more Q&As. Well, friends, I just love once every 2 to 3 months, I love having a conversation with you all. I love you so much, guys. And, time is of the essence. A lot of things are happening, and we're moving forward like crazy. So I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up. And please make sure, Jason, maybe you can drop the link once again in the live chat. It should be pinned as well. Go grab the code, the kettlebell code, Lebe from Lebe stock. Yeah, of course, from me. And it is the 2nd edition. I've spent 2 weeks distilling my philosophy in 29 pages, 8,805 words. And it's almost like a little bit of an opus magnum that I've written. And everything that's in there is so up to date and so present what we currently do that I think it can really help you change your life. And the best thing about it, and you can help you get started with kettlebells. And the best thing about it is you don't have to spend a dime. It's 100% free. Okay? So go grab it right now, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much, friends. Until then, bye-bye.